I was reading something recently that said apologies don't work. When you apologize, it actually fans the flames of anger and outrage. And that kind of let me down. I don't know what the data is. It was something I read in passing. It may or may not be true. But it wasn't an opinion piece. It was like looking at empirical data. And I don't care if it's true or not, so don't quote me and act like it's real. Just take it at its opinion value, right? I believe, anecdotally, from what I've seen, when you apologize for some wrongdoing to the PC outrage mob, you are giving them evidence you did something wrong and you know it. They then take it and see, aha, and they still go after you. There is no apology, and that is a nightmare. Okay, this is a terrible world to live in. We should be able to live in a world where you can say, hey man, I shouldn't have done that. I feel bad, and I'm sorry. And then people should say, hey, spot on. Because you apologized, we can move on. It doesn't work that way. What we actually get is, oh, so you admit it. And then they come after you even harder and say, your apology is meaningless, or they'll call the apology fake. It was recently that Scarlett Johansson claimed she could play anyone she wanted. She's an actor, and actors pretend to be other people. If she wants to play a dude, she can play a dude. If they want to cast her in the role of an Asian woman, I really don't care. The same is true for the other way around. You want to have a black actress play Ariel? It's the last thing I care about. I'm more concerned about, are you going to change the story and make it better? Like, let me say this about Aladdin. They made several changes to Aladdin that made it not as fun. I didn't like it. It was all right. It wasn't that good. So that's what I'm concerned about. The last thing I care about is the race of the actor. Robin Williams was a white guy and Will Smith is a black guy. Are we going to get upset about the genie? No, I guess the genie's blue, so it doesn't count. But no, I mean, who cares? Seriously. If you want to, whatever. Well, Scarlett Johansson lost a movie role because she was going to play a trans man. She then comes out and says, I can play whoever I want. She gets torn to shreds, and then she apologizes. Why haven't these people learned? The apologies do nothing. They do nothing. Now we have this story from the Daily Wire. ScarJo lands in hot water with the PC crowd. The most important bit from this article, I believe it's from Michael Knowles, is that Twitter is not real. And for some reason, the left doesn't get it. That's where they live, on Twitter. Well, I have friends who are on the left who don't pay attention to Twitter for the most part. They're on Instagram. Most people, like Instagram is the more preferred network. Let's read the story. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a monthly PayPal option, a crypto option, and a physical address. But of course, the best thing you can do, just share this video to help spread the word because I rely on you guys. If people are going to find out, YouTube is deranking us, etc. Let's read. Knowles, I believe it's Michael Knowles, writes, Scarlett Johansson is in hot water because she suggested that actors can pretend to be other people. And this is now politically incorrect. Actors, the people who pretend to be other people, they can't do that anymore. She said, as an actor, I should be allowed to play any person or any tree or any animal because that is my job and the requirements of my job. She said this quote to As If magazine, and this is obviously true. And I want to add quick side note because if you've been following the story, they're now claiming that people are upset over Ariel being played by a black woman, but literally no one cares, okay? Okay, I meant that figuratively. Like, most people don't care. Conservatives don't care, moderates don't care, liberals don't care, but the far left is going, take that, bigots! And everyone's like, no, nobody cares, man. Like, dude, mermaids aren't real, they're fish. My favorite takeaway from this, though, is, I apologize because I can't remember who tweeted this, but it was hilarious. They said what everyone is missing in the Ariel debate is that she would be pale on the front and dark on the back to protect her from predators. Because that's what fish are colored like. Because it's funny, right? Because, when you look up the sun and it's a camouflage kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know. I think it was hilarious. But yeah, nobody cared. We keep getting this fake outrage. It's this really weird bubble of, in my opinion, it's a form of it's like, it is a psychosis. It's a delusional state brought on by being surrounded by, I guess, mirrors. So you can't see out of the room. You're actually, this is a really good analogy. The left are in a hall of mirrors where they can only see each other. And so here's what happens. Somebody says, hey, did you hear that conservatives are mad about X? And they go, ha, and they'll start laughing about it to each other. Jack Dorsey pointed this out, that liberal journalists were only following liberals and conservative journalists follow both. There's actually data from Gallup, I believe, that shows conservatives get 60%, 65% of their news from conservative sites, but around 30 to 35 from liberal sites, whereas liberals get like 95% of their news from liberal sites. So they're in a hall of mirrors where they can't see anything outside of it. Guess what? Nobody cared. But I'll tell you this, the puppet masters, the people on top who know this, keep sprinkling in these fake stories of racist outrage, and they all start high-fiving each other. Meanwhile, everyone outside of that bubble is like, dude, I have no idea what they're talking about. Quite literally, no one cares. In fact, people are advocating for the right for people to play anything they want. But let's get to the point where Scarlett Johansson reaps the benefits of an apology. So here we go. What did Scarlett Johansson do? She apologized. It was this totally perfunctory apology. She goes, I recognize that in reality, there is a widespread discrepancy among my industry that favors Caucasian cisgendered actors, and that not every actor has been given the same opportunities that I have been privileged to. I continue to support and always have diversity in every industry, and we'll continue to fight for projects where everyone is included. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Okay, she didn't really add, she didn't say that. Did I say the current daily politically correct slogan? I know it'll change tomorrow, but did I get it right today? Please don't ruin my career. She may as well have said that last part. Do you guys watch Family Guy? There was an episode where Brian, the dog, writes a self-help book called Wish It, Want It, Do It. And it's kind of funny considering Seth MacFarlane recently came out begging the Democrats to get together, like to unify because they're fighting. But anyway, Brian Griffin writes a self-help book. In it, it's just like a bunch of jargon and mumbo-jumbo, and it's got a bunch of blank pages. And as he's writing it, him and Stewie are making fun of the idiots who would buy it. So the book sells really well, and he gets invited onto the Real Time with Bill Maher. This is fiction, by the way. I'm just pointing out like a funny story, a funny, side story. In it, he's being made fun of by Ariana Huffington and Bill Maher. They're like, this is drivel, it's manipulative. And then finally Brian breaks down and goes, just tell me what you want me to say. I'm such a huge fan. I'll say whatever you want. And that's what I hear whenever I hear an apology. Please, I'm so sorry. I have no idea what I did. Why was it offensive? I honestly don't know. You were just talking about how we should have a black 007. And so I said, okay, can I do that? And then you were like, no, you're white. And then all of a sudden now everything's offensive. What do I do? Please tell me. And welcome to 2019. That's why apologies make no sense. Listen. Lashana Lynch, I think her name is set to take the mantle of 007. She won't be James Bond, that's my understanding, and I did talk about this in the other episode, other segment. And we have the activists for social justice saying like, woohoo, yeah, black woman playing 007. And I'm kind of like, oh, that's a cool way to transfer the title. Like they're going to do a new character. I honestly don't care if it's a black woman. Like that's cool. Is the story going to be good? Lashana Lynch was pretty good in Captain Marvel. I got to admit, not a big fan of Captain Marvel as it was, but I thought she did a really great job. So I'm interested, right? So they simultaneously say that's a good thing, but that Scarlett Johansson can't play someone else. The only thing they're actually saying, they are hiding their beliefs behind this idea of equality. They don't care about equality. They care about power. That's the thing. It doesn't matter that Scarlett Johansson is, white woman. It doesn't matter. Like, listen, she's a female, right? Couldn't you argue that it's sexist to tell her she can't play another character? Oh, you're trying to hold a woman back? No, she's super powerful and wealthy, and she's white. Therefore, they say, you are not entitled. They pretend there's principles behind what they're saying. They say it's about, power plus privilege, and they act like there's a structure behind social justice, but there isn't. It is chaotic. I don't want to say it's chaotic evil, okay? But some of it is. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go there. It is chaotic evil. There's no rules. It's just strictly about taking people down for self-gratification. It is to get people to feel pain, no matter who they are. They don't care what you believe. They don't care if you're a good person. They don't care what you've done. And it reminds me of... It's not all chaotic evil, okay? But it also reminds me of something I brought this up recently too in Game of Thrones when what's her face Daenerys, she goes to this city where there's slavery and she executes all the nobles, and then some guy comes in and he was like, but my father was fighting to end slavery and you killed him. He was a good guy who agreed with you. Why would you do that? And that's what you get. When you don't act on principle, you act on feelings and say, I just want it to be this way. I feel this way. Well, then you get unjust and asymmetrical enforcement. None of it makes sense, and apologies won't work. So let's read a little bit more. Michael says, I'll give you just a little bit of insider information. In a previous life, I was an actor, classically trained, worked professionally as an actor. One thing I learned, actors pretend to be other people. It's not real, and what actors do is they create characters. All right, we get it. You are an actor. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. The point is, there are articles popping up right now. There are tweets from people saying, oh, she's apologizing now, Crimea River. She's, she takes away roles from Asian women and trans women. She is no one, blah, blah, blah. It didn't matter. The apology doesn't matter. Listen, Craig Newmark, all right, the founder of Craigslist. I want to pop over real quick. I didn't think I could do like a full segment on this, but Craig Newmark founded Craigslist. He said, outrage is profitable. Most online outrage is fake for profit. That's why apologies don't work. They're not supposed to work. They're not really angry at you. They just pretend to be. I guess I am partially outraged by the outrage, right? So, I'll put it this way. I'm not super angry about what they do, but here's the reality. Do they really care that Scarlett Johansson was doing this? They don't. They don't. That's why when she apologizes, they don't back down. The outrage is intended to generate clicks, traffic, and make money for these people and build followings for these people, and we all know it. It's really difficult then because calling out the outrage is outrage in itself. So, hey, look, I'll be the first to acknowledge my role in the outrage cycle, but I will say this. I sincerely find it disconcerting that people are pretending to be outraged on the internet for brownie points. I am not pretending. This culture, cancel culture, is destroying society. It's making the Democrats go insane. It is just complete insanity. So it's I will add one more thing to this just because I don't think I'm going to do a full segment on this story from The Guardian. But when they're talking to Craig Newmark and they ask him about what he means by outrage culture, they ask him about Fox News and he refuses to give an affirmative response because the reality is The Guardian does it all the time. Fox News does it sometimes. The Guardian does it sometimes. CNN does it sometimes. Like everybody is doing it because they're all being lit on fire and collapsing. And there you go, right? It's just people pretending to be angry. So I'll tell you this. Finally, one last thought. When you apologize, they will not accept your apology because being outraged is what gets them clicks. So no matter what you do, they must remain outraged. You apologize? Oh, that's a fake apology. Now you're insulting us to make, there's nothing you can do. They will always be angry. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, to a certain extent, Twitter and Facebook are worse because of the instant share feature. Nightmarish, just awful places. I don't know what you do about it, but stick around. I got another video coming up, youtube.com/timcast at 4 p.m., and we're going to talk about the outrage machine and how it displaces real news and real policy. Welcome to politics in 2019, where Donald Trump can obfuscate his actions by saying naughty words on Twitter, and instead of covering the news, they will say, Trump said mean things. Let's not talk about policy. Let's talk about mean things. Why? Because the outrage gets clicks. Stick around. I will see you in the next segment. And if you're listening on the podcast, you heard it already, so it's a different story coming up. I will see you there.